Go.
Good afternoon, and good morning, and welcome to Investor Schooling Live, coming to you from Investor Schooling headquarters. I'm Phil Falcone here with my business partner, Larry Steinhaus. We are the founders of Investor Schooling. Get ready to learn real estate investing and stock option trading. Call us anytime during the show with your questions at 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. That's right, we are live programs, so you can call us anytime during the show, and we will take your calls. Don't worry about what we're talking about. Just give us a call. We love taking your calls. Investor Schooling is located in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, serving the Philadelphia area in a real brick-and-mortar building. We are local guys, accessible to our students a minimum of 2 nights per week. Learn this business, the business of real estate investing and stock option trading, from people who live it every day. So today, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about why we only follow 6 stocks, Facebook Marketplace, and how we use it to sell properties. Larry's mistakes. It's a new segment. Larry's going to share with us all the screw-ups he's had in his life. I don't know. It's probably going to take more than an hour, but we'll see if we can fit it in. Fraud in real estate. We're going to share with you some fraud stories that we've heard of and have happened to us over the years. Always collect 3 months of rent. We're going to talk about why. You don't want perfect tenants. That's right. You heard me correctly. You don't want perfect tenants, right? Nobody went broke taking a profit. And then we're going to be visited by the stock option sultan, who's going to give us picks of the week. These are picks that we're going to be investing in next week. And you could start as early as Monday morning. So, at 9:30, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, hey, Larry, what's happening?
Whole bunch of stuff's going on, Phil. It's been a good week, hasn't it?
It's been a wonderful week.
It's always a good week. We had a whole bunch of people show up on Thursday night. We had a full class, as always. It's pretty awesome. It's always fun to teach this stuff. Do you enjoy teaching this stuff?
I do. I just did a coaching call on my way here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you can't discuss it unless there was something cool in there.
Just sharing my brilliance with people who need it. That's all.
Well, you are one of the most brilliant people I know. You're almost as brilliant as me.
According to Dom Giordano.
Yeah, I know. You're more.
He says, "What's it like to work with Phil Falcone, the genius?"
I know. And I said, "What?" That was pretty funny. All right. So what else we got going? By the way, real quick, if you guys are online, if you're on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, you can leave comments, and we will respond to those comments. So if you're watching live, feel free to leave those comments because we love to get them. We love to talk about them as well. And you can call us at 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. So this week we had 2 real estate agents call us and yell at us, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We had a couple of realtors.
Yeah.
Call us up and have a problem with something we did.
Yeah, so the first one calls me up, and it's funny because we have an agent. One of our agents. Most of the agents who work for us, we have the investor brokerage, which is we mostly deal with investors. We don't really deal with the standard person. I mean, typically the person who's buying a $1 million house. We're really probably not the real estate agent for them. Not that I wouldn't do it. I mean, I certainly would take the commission, especially on a $30,000 commission. I'd certainly take it. But the most of the people we deal with are investors. So when we're listing properties, they're mostly investment properties. So I get this one agent who lists an investment property, lists it for $325,000, and of course the investment property, it's not in great shape because it's an investment property. That's what it is. And one of the realtors sends him an offer, and it was probably she sends him an offer, and she calls me up because I'm the broker, and she's yelling at me. She goes, "Your agent isn't responding to me." I'm like, "So what? What's going on? Tell me the story." She goes, "Well, he has this thing. It's listed for whatever, and it's a property, and he doesn't respond." And I said, "Okay, well, how much is the property listed for?"
Well, hold on a second now. She said I didn't respond. I was responding.
No, that wasn't even you. This is another agent.
Oh, okay.
That's another. We didn't get to that story yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is another agent. So and I said, okay, every once in a while we first of all when we list a property, we usually get tons of offers because they're investment properties, and investment properties are hard to find. So sometimes it's just because somebody didn't get back to them yet. But, they call me to complain because I'm the broker, of course, right? So she's complaining, "This guy didn't respond to me. I don't understand why he doesn't respond to me. He doesn't respond to my emails. He doesn't call me back. He doesn't do anything. Why is it?" I'm like, whoa. Oh, didn't you guys... Did something happen to him? Did he die? And I actually said to her, I said, that was really funny. I said, that sounds like something I would say. So I actually appreciated this woman because she said that. She said, what happened? Did he die? I said, no. I said, what's going on? And she goes, well, like I said, he doesn't respond. I said, okay. I said, first of all, I said, tell me what the property is. She tells me the property, 123 Main Street, whatever it is. And I go, how much is it listed for? It's listed for $325. I said, well, how much did you offer? Well, we offered $275, but we offered cash. And the property's in really bad shape, and we offered cash. I said, oh, let me get this straight. The guy ignored you. You offered $50,000 less than the property's selling for in a market like this. Why would he even waste his time? Well, I had to waste my time filling out the paperwork, and if he could at least respond to me and make a counteroffer. I said, why would he make a counteroffer? Your offer is so ridiculously low, there's nothing even to discuss. And then she goes, I'm going to report you to the Board of Realtors. And I said, first of all, we have nothing to do with the Board of Realtors. We're not in that union, as we've talked about many times. And I said, one of the reasons we're not in the Board of Realtors is because we don't want to listen to whiny, bitchy women like you. and then I said, and second of all, what do you think they're going to do about it? You made an offer of $50,000 less. Do you think they're going to fine us or something? And then she hung up on me.
Can you do the rest of the show with that voice?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
I can do it.
Okay, good. I want you to. Let's see
if you're listening to PHT, you want to call Phil and Larry right now at 855-939-1137 because they really know what they're talking about.
All right, so I wanted to announce to everyone listening that we're actually on Saturdays now, live on Saturdays at 2 p.m.
But it's 10 o'clock.
But
I'm going to report to you it's 10 o'clock. It's not 2 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock.
Okay, but unfortunately what happened on this particular day, this little organization called Penn State had a football game that was coming on, and somehow WPHT 1210 AM decided that Penn State was more important than investor schooling. And I just want to let everybody know that I'm doing this radio show with a grievance.
But I hate baseball. Why do they put baseball on when I want to listen to Phil and Larry?
All right, I've had enough of the voice. Okay.
855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. And if you're that woman, call us now so you can see how well I did your voice.
So what time are we on? We're on Saturdays at 2 p.m. That's when we're normally going to be on, unless we get bumped by Temple basketball or Penn State football. Okay? These are the realities of our world. So, Larry, let's talk about why do we follow only 6 stocks?
All right, so that's a really good question. So one of the rules that we teach is to follow only 6 stocks. And the reason we teach that is because, honestly, you will get so confused and so overwhelmed by all the stocks out there. And also, what happens is if you're following 6 stocks, or you're following 10 or 15 stocks, what's going to happen is you can say, you watched your friend make a move on Tesla, for example. It just moved up 25, 30 points. You're like, wait a minute, but I'm over here in Facebook and Tesla moved up. So I'm going to move my money over to Tesla and watch Tesla go up. But that's not really what happens. What really happens is Tesla goes down and then Facebook moved up and you move the money. So if you're only following 6 stocks, you have a lot less work to do and it's a lot easier to stay engaged. And I will tell you that you will make more profits because you're only following 6 stocks than if you follow tons of stocks.
That's good advice.
Yes, thank you, sir. How many stocks do you follow?
16.
I knew you were going to say that. I didn't know you were going to say 16, but I knew it was going to be more than 6.
Well, look, my definition of follow is a little looser.
Right.
So I like to kind of be thinking about other stocks besides my 6.
Well, it's nice to watch the other stocks. I watch a lot of stocks. So something I watch for fun, like Tesla, I watch it for fun. I wish I would have bought it at 180, but I didn't. But at the same time, it's fun to watch.
Well, one of the things, if you've never been to investor schooling, you wouldn't know this. But what we do here on Thursday nights and on Monday nights is we analyze stocks. And we analyze a number of stocks because our students will request that. Hey, what do you think of Apple? What do you think of Meta? And we talk about these stocks and we analyze them. And if you are a stock investor or a potential stock option investor, this is something that is incredibly valuable to you. It's incredibly valuable to me. So I sit here, I get potential explanations, chart reading, where we talk about the reasons that we might want to invest in a stock and how we might want to invest in it. And you can turn around and make money off of these things, and it's an amazing thing. We also talk about real estate all the time. So real estate, in my opinion, is the greatest investment that has ever been invented.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love it. You buy a property, with minimum effort, you can manage that property and find yourself being up $100,000 in 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it takes. It's still there. You still own it. It's kicking off a cash flow. It's giving you write-offs. Wonderful business, real estate investing. If you've thought about being in it, you want to get your butt to investor schooling this Thursday night at 7 p.m. That's right. This Thursday night, you have been officially invited to investorschooling.com.
Go to Investor Schooling right now, and you can meet Bill and Larry, and there's so much fun.
Yeah, we can be fun sometimes.
And also, by the way, if you want to call in 855-939-1137, if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, feel free to leave comments. Hi, Scott. Scott says hi on Facebook, so we're saying hi back to Scott. And if anybody else is out there, just let us know. Let us know how it sounds. Let us know how we look. Let us know how Phil's hair looks. Because, his hair looks perfect. I got to wear a hat because I got this big bald spot. But his hair looks perfect. So let everybody know that his hair looks good if you're watching on Facebook.
Speaking of your hair, I wanted to make a few comments about that.
Oh, no.
This is just helpful comments.
Okay.
Right. I'm not actually making fun of you this one particular minute. All right. I think you would look pretty cool if you shaved your head. Keep your beard, keep your mustache, shave your head, right? Polish it every day before you come to the school. I think you'll look pretty cool.
All right.
Give it a try. Have you ever shaved your head?
Yeah, well, I had it like super peach fuzz once. That was
Right.
it.
I shaved my head once for about 9 months, and it was very interesting. So I wasn't losing my hair or anything. I just decided to try it, right? And I noticed a couple of funny things. Like, I'd cut some guy off with my convertible, and then he goes to give me the finger, but then when he saw that I had a bald head, he retracted the finger.
That's funny.
He retracted the finger. And other things happen, like I'm at Home Depot pushing my cart down the aisle, and I'd see other men move out of the way. You just look more manly. You look tougher. You look like a guy who's more prone to start an argument or even a fight with you if you have a bald head. You lack that. You lack that fear factor, right? You certainly have the verbal ability to argue with people, but what you need is a tough look.
But can I talk like this when I have my bald head?
You can, but I think it will defeat the purpose.
Okay.
I think you should shave your head. It'll be a major improvement.
Well, I'll have to consider this.
I agree. I said that the other day.
I'm going to have to consider it. Pedro's agreeing. What do you think, Jim Kelly? Jim Kelly over in PhD. What do you think? Should I shave my head too?
For the good of the show, why not?
For the good of the show. We're on radio.
Anything to help the show. By the way, Larry, you sound like every caller I used to take on this radio station when we used to have to preempt Rush to go to Phillies baseball. That's the way every caller sounded. Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this right now. You're cutting off Rush Limbaugh for Phillies baseball for sporting events. I don't know what's going on right now. It's all a conspiracy. That's the way every caller sounded right now when I first started.
Hey Jim, you and I need to have a conversation in our voices.
Speaking of the Phillies, you know what they've always done that bothers the heck out of me? They rush you out of the stadium as the game is over. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever noticed that?
No.
A lot of times when I go to a game, I want to hang out for a little while. Have a beer, sit in your chair, hang out with your friends in the sun, and then walk out like when some of the traffic is left. So what's the rush? You want to run out the door so you can get stuck in a traffic jam? It's idiotic, right? So the Phillies will come around and say, sir, the game's over. Yeah, like, I know the game's over. I'm sitting here, I'm finishing my beer, and then I'm going to go out and drive. Right? And they push you out of the building. The Sixers, however, you can walk down the steps at the end of the game, and if you don't do this with your family, you're really missing out on some fun. You can actually walk on the court. There's a certain corner where they'll let you walk onto the court and you can get your photograph taken standing on the Sixers basketball court. So any game that you go to, my father taught me this. We were kids. We go to a Phillies game. We went to tons of Phillies games. My dad would hawk out 3 seats for me and my brother and my dad, and then we'd move to that section, and we'd move to another section. Every inning or every other inning, we're moving down, 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 to the point where we're like 3 rows from the dugout, right? That's what you want to be doing at all these games. I'm just sharing that with people so they know to do that if they never thought of it.
So it looks like everybody online is saying that I should shave my head, and my wife is asking if she has a say. So,
Well,
Nope.
she certainly has a say, but she has to call in. Linda, call in, 855-939-1137. We'd have to discuss this with you on the air.
if Linda says
If
that
Linda calls in, I'd be shocked.
do we have any razors here, Pedro?
No, but
We
I
do,
can go to
actually.
the store. There's one on
We
the
actually
street.
do. We actually do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I keep it every once in a while. I forget to shave my outside of my beard, and when I go on the air, I want to make sure that I'm shaved. So yeah, and Rory. I'm not making fun of your name, Rory. I'm making fun of the way I speak. Is saying that I have the head for it. But anyway, I'm sure that these guys want to listen to real estate advice and stock option advice, not shave my head advice.
All right, so
But
let's
we
talk.
shave it live on the radio.
Let's talk about.
That
yeah,
might be
yeah,
fun,
we should.
too.
We should.
Straight up the Howard Stern style.
That's a Howard Stern thing. Yeah, exactly right.
So let's talk about Facebook Marketplace and how we use it to find renters or even selling properties.
I have to tell you that Facebook Marketplace is my absolute favorite place to find renters to start with. And when I put a property up on the market, I immediately put it on Facebook Marketplace. I literally go into the place, I take my 5 or 6, 10 pictures, whatever it is. By the way, just real quick on pictures, I just want to go off on the side for a second. It's funny, but take at least amount of pictures that you can. Take less pictures. Don't put more pictures on because you want people to say, hey, I need to see it. This way, if they have a lot of pictures, they're not going to see it, and they're not going to come to see you. So that's my suggestion. It's like 6 to 10 pictures max. Anyway, so I put it up on Facebook. I put a nice description on it. And I will tell you, on Facebook, I will get messaged all day long. I will get messaged about, can I come see it? Can I come see it? I'll also tell you that I'm not standard. I'm not going to have somebody have a conversation with me on Facebook Messenger about going to see it. So if they said, hey, when can I see it? I immediately give them my phone number. And I say, call me, and we'll discuss it. Because the last thing I want to do is I want to drive out. I don't want to drive out there and show it to someone who isn't qualified, who isn't moving in right away. That's the other thing too. Is when's it available? And I say, well, it's available right away. Well, can I hold on to it for the next 3 months? So I'm thinking about moving 3 months from now. I'm like, really? So I don't want to go to those people either. So I'll also talk to them on the phone first. But Facebook Marketplace, you will have so many people respond so quickly. And it's funny how quickly they respond.
Yeah, I really haven't used it that much, a little bit, but all my stuff is rented anyway. So, and most of my portfolio is vacation rentals anyway. But I might use it for the new park I bought. So.
Yeah, it will definitely work. You'll see how quickly they'll respond.
Yeah.
It's great.
We're also using something new that I'm still. Actually, John is the one who's using it. It's called Rent Spree, and it's a pretty cool tool. So what you can do with this thing is you get your tenant's email address, you get their phone number, of course, you create an invoice for them, and you send them this invoice, right? Letting them know that you owe us $1,000 for this month on whatever, December 1st, right? And let's just say that they only have $800 at the moment. They can pay $800. The system will go back and automatically remind them that they still have a $200 balance that needs to be paid, which I'm not totally against doing with certain people, especially in the mobile home park business, because you're dealing with some of the poorer people in the world who live in mobile homes, and you got to work with them a little bit. You can't just be a hammer all the time with them. And if the system just automatically reminds them, boy, what a breeze that is for the landlord. When the tenant has paid 100% of the rent, the system then lets you know that this particular person has paid the rest of the rent.
How about late fees? Does it put late fees in?
I imagine that can be programmed in, but John's really the one using it, and he's told me it has all kinds of capability. It even has, this is really interesting. So if you have a bank account, like so in Florida, they have this bank called Regions Bank. We opened up a bank account at Regions Bank because it's located only half a mile away from the mobile home park where these people live. So they can literally just drive to the bank and make the deposit themselves. However, Rent-Spree has the ability to accept the payments through their application and then transfer the money to the bank account that we specify we want it to go to.
That's great.
That's really cool, man. Talk about making your life easy. You don't have to go to the bank anymore. You don't even have to remember if your tenant's paid or not. You just go in and look at your program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I may look at that and see what I like. Because there's a couple of things I was using. I was using Rent Ready, which is also pretty cool. And then I was also, what happened was just everybody started using these apps like Cash App and Venmo, and that actually got me lost. That was the first time I ever got lost in years. When I say lost, I mean like I have to actually physically remember to think about each one of my tenants and whether they paid or not, and check them off, because there's no other way to do it with Cash App and Venmo. They're not connected.
That's one of my biggest problems, okay? Because people want to. This guy wants to pay me in PayPal. This guy wants to pay in cash.
Exactly,
this guy wants
right.
to pay in Venmo.
Right.
After a while, like I gotta have 14 apps on my phone. I don't even remember, like, you know, how do you track all that stuff, right? This thing, I don't know if Rent-Spree is the greatest application ever, but something like that will be improved over time, and something like that is going to make our lives much, much better. Rent-Spree might not be the greatest program ever. Right now, there might be a better one already being developed right now as technology changes, but I love the idea of my life getting easier.
So we had the guys about 3 years ago, we had the guys from Rent Ready, the guys who created Rent Ready. They were here, and I was using it for a little while. And honestly, there was nothing wrong with it. I actually liked it. I just people started paying me in PayPal and Venmo, and I got confused, and I went off it. But that might actually work for you, especially with the mobile home park, trying Rent Ready. By the way, if you Rent Ready, I think it's rentready.com, REDI, Rent Ready. And,
well, all I can tell you is, John is using Rent-Spree now. He's setting it all up.
Okay, cool.
He thinks it's great because of the fact that it can actually do the deposits. So the deposit goes from the tenant to Rent-Spree. Mm-hmm. They must have a way to accept money.
Right.
And then if you specify what bank and what the bank account number is, they just put it right in the bank for you. It's freaking great.
I'm going to have to look at that. It sounds great. I've never heard of it before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, this is the other thing that's interesting about this technology time that we're in. All these new things are being developed so fast that we don't even know them all.
Yeah. Somebody asked me this morning on a coaching call, he said, what's the best marketing program? What's the best this? What's the best that? I said, how could I possibly answer that? I could tell you ones I've used, but the ones I've used, there could be 15 other programs that are already better than those.
Yeah, and when we talk about marketing, like, which sends out letters, we use one now. It's Mailbox Power, and if you wanted to go Mailbox Power, you can do that too. And if you use the word investors, you can get in. But I've been using Mailbox Power. I actually like it. It's actually pretty good, except they just changed the interface, so I haven't really played with it in a while. So I may have to do another presentation on Mailbox Power.
Are you still doing a lot of marketing?
I'm not doing as much as I used to. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where I'm so busy that I'm not. And it's funny, we talked about this before, that I'm making less money because I'm so busy running the school. I make less money, but I don't care. I make, I always tell people, don't feel sorry for me. I make a lot of money, but I just don't make as much money because I'm not marketing. I'm buying houses. Although, I probably buy at this point probably 3 to 4 houses a year that I keep, and that's not bad. Where we were doing 50, 60 wholesale deals a year and making a whole lot of money with that. No longer doing that. I don't have the time for it. You too. You don't have the time for that either anymore.
Well, I could make the time for it.
Okay.
You just quit doing everything else that you're doing.
Exactly right.
I like having the potential to follow anything I feel like following. And I've got a few screwy ideas in my skull right now that I've been thinking about.
All right, come on, let's discuss one of them.
I'm not prepared to discuss them on the radio, but I'll say this. Okay. Like, I come across things that I think are intriguing that I might want to do in the future, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things I really want to do in the future is I want to move to Florida.
I know that, right?
I have a lovely wife who I'm in love with, and I really, really, really want her to move to Florida with me.
Oh, so you
and
weren't
I'm
heard
getting some.
some feedback, huh?
She cares about this thing called family. She says
Right.
family is really important, and I want to move to Florida and not tell anybody where my address is.
I got it. Basically this sound is heard a lot in your house. Phil, we're not going to Florida. Phil, we're not going to Florida. Phil, we're not going to Florida.
Well, I can't go without her. I can't do it. So
yeah,
let's
I can
get to
understand
the
that.
moment that you've all been waiting for. Our new segment,
Oh, boy.
Larry's Screw Ups.
All right, let's start. First of all, 855-939-1137 if you want to call in. 855-939-1137. And, of course, if you want to go to investorschooling.com, you can sign up for a free class this Thursday. Oh, no, not this Thursday because this Thursday's Thanksgiving. So the following Thursday is when we would be there. But anyway, 855-939-1137 if you want to call in. My screw-ups. Which ones? I mean, like, how far do you want to go back?
You know, I just like to hear this segment. I don't want to hear 10 screw-ups. I know you could fill up the whole hour. What I'd like to do is just give us one. Give us one every show.
So, all right. So I'm not sure. You surprised me with this one today. So I'm not quite sure where to go with this. You know, you want me to make it a positive thing, or you want me to make it this is really bad thing?
I mean, with the repertoire of screw-ups that you've had, I don't care where you pick one from.
All right. So first of all, before I say that or answer the question, you should know that the more times that you mess up, the more likely you are to succeed on the other side, and that's where our success comes from.
Nothing teaches you better than making a mistake.
Exactly.
I'll share with you one of my screw-ups.
All right. Well, you do that because I'm trying to think of a really good
All right,
one.
I'll give you a screw-up I've made. As a wholesaler, so I get a lead for somebody who wants to sell me their house. I walk around wearing I Buy Houses T-shirts pretty much almost every single day. And I scream to the world that I buy houses. I'm in the business of buying houses, right? You get a lead. This is not a hypothetical lead. This is just somebody called me and said they want to sell me their house. I went to the appointment. I did the best I could to talk to these people about buying their house, and I made a crucial screw-up. What I did, I offered them too much for the property. And then as I'm driving home, they signed the contract. I got the contract signed, and I left. And as I'm driving home, I realized I completely screwed this deal up, okay? Because now that I've agreed to pay too much for the property, obviously I can go back and try to get a $25,000 discount. But at that point, I've revealed a major flaw in my game, right? And you've screwed up a lead. And what happens after that happens to you? You learn that you can never let that happen again. And it'll happen again because it happens sometimes in the real estate business. But you learn to be more adamant about why your price has to be at this level and why you have to create arguments. And how do you develop those arguments? You develop it by experience, by explaining to people, look, you think your neighbor sold his house for $350,000, but he didn't. He actually sold it for $315,000. And you think your house is worth the same as your neighbor, but the one you thought he sold for $350,000 really sold for $315,000. But did you ever look at the pictures of the inside of his house? And you show them the pictures and explain to them. He's got granite countertops. He's got top-of-the-line cabinets. He's got hardwood floors. He's got all these amazing things. Your house doesn't have any of that stuff. And you learn how to fight for getting the price reduced to a level where you can actually make some money off of it. And this only comes from screwing up.
Absolutely true. So you want to do a real estate screw up or stock option screw up?
Have your pick.
I don't know. Probably one of the biggest screw ups was I bought a property that I thought was a 3-family, and it wasn't. It was a 2-family. It had 3 doors and it had 3 entrances, but Trenton came in and said no. This was never a 3-family. The person you bought it from converted it into a 3-family illegally, and now it's a 2-family. And that cost me a little bit of money.
Well, how did it cost you money?
Well, because I thought I was buying a 3-family house, and now I wasn't going to be able to get the rents that I was going to get as a 3-family.
Well, I would tell you that Philadelphia is absolutely littered with illegal properties.
Absolutely, sure.
I mean, I don't know if I'd even call them illegal because there's so many of them, but they are certainly were not built as duplexes. It's pretty easy to figure out too, but yeah, that's a big mistake. But I sure it didn't destroy you. I mean,
No,
you still had a property.
I just lost a little bit of money on it. It wasn't a big deal, but it's typical. It's just some of those things, some of these mistakes you make, you just make them. I mean, my my stock options, I made some serious mistakes. I had a couple bad ones this year. This year was a pretty rough year, and one of them was JNUG. And we talk about it all the time. It was JNUG where the price of gold normally goes up when the stock market goes down. And the weirdest part was this year, gold just kind of floated away. It really didn't do what it normally does. And JNUG has price of gold has an effect on JNUG because it's a mining company. But what happened was, and the only thing I can think of is that Bitcoin or the other cryptos got in the way of what gold normally does. I mean, you would think gold would be skyrocketing right now because of inflation, and it's not. And it's very unusual that it's not. However, I still recommend gold and silver, holding gold and silver, especially if the internet ever goes down and you need to buy milk from your neighbor who has a cow. Your neighbors have a cow, right?
No,
Okay. But I might need
but
to buy...
I know where cows are.
You know what cows are?
Yeah, not
That's
too
good.
far from my house.
There you go. And and most people won't have any money. They won't have credit cards. We'll have cash and we'll have silver and we'll be able to buy milk from a cow. And when I say milk, I'm using that as a analogy for anything else out there.
Speaking of cash on the side, I follow an advisor, a financial advisor who recommends having piles of cash in your safe at home these days.
You follow me then.
Well,
That's my recommendation.
yeah, you talk a little bit more about having silver bars and things
And
like
cash.
that. But okay, so
Yeah, and cash.
there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about that
Sure.
these days. That some trouble is coming.
Well, and again, even if there's not trouble, so what? So you have cash. So you have cash on the
Yeah,
side.
it's probably a good idea to do it all your life because you never really know.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
you don't have to have $100,000 in your safe, but have enough money that could sustain your lifestyle for 6 months. So
For a little while,
if
while
that's
things- right.
maybe 60, maybe 10,000 a month might be a good number to have.
sure.
Something like that
Sure.
to keep it around.
Yeah, just in case something happens. You
Yeah,
never know.
don't just leave your money in the bank is the point because banks actually can take your assets, and it has happened before if you look through history.
Absolutely true. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but some people you might know this, but other people may not. If you have your money in a bank and you have a loan with that bank, and you default on that loan, if you have anything in that bank, they will take it all. They won't even ask your permission. They won't even warn you. So if you've written a check to someone or a check to a mortgage company, like to preserve your house, that check will now bounce because the bank took all your money out of your account. They will, and you've signed a piece of paper that agrees to do that. That's why I also recommend that you have several bank accounts, not just in one bank.
Well,
So
that
you can-
happens in our business. Yeah, I think I have 12 bank accounts, but
Right,
it
exactly.
doesn't mean I'm rich or anything. It just means
Well, not just 12 bank
just
accounts,
means
but
it's-
12 different banks.
right.
I
Oh,
don't say
okay.
12 different banks, maybe
All right.
3 different banks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good point.
Right.
Right.
Different banks.
So let's talk. I'll tell you. Why don't we go to a commercial break?
Let's
and
do
when
it.
we come back, we're going to talk to you about fraud in real estate.
Yeah, this is
And
good.
this is really important topic because these things that have happened to me could happen to you.
Sure.
So stick around. Hi, I'm
Where?
Falcone from Investor. Houses and make them beautiful. As a bonus, we will also teach you stock option investing. 7 p.m. this Thursday night, 215-876-3002, investorschooling.com.
Hey everybody, it's Larry Sinus from InvestorSchooling.com. You heard my partner Phil Falcone tell you why you should be there this Thursday night to learn about real estate investing and learn about stock options trading. We're telling you right now you will make more money than you've ever made in your entire life if you learn these two skills. This Thursday night at 7 o'clock, go to InvestorSchooling.com. Pull over right now, take out your phone and go to InvestorSchooling
Oh, we had a call, but he dropped.
right now.
It's going on probably one of those crappy cell phones. It's not like an Edelman show where they can just pre-screen
Live. Larry and Bill are here, and I thought you guys are enjoying the show. If you're enjoying the show a lot, you should call. You should call 855-939-1137, and you guys should leave comments on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, and let us know that you really enjoy the show. I'm going to give it back over to Larry. Oh, my God. Why is that voice still here? That's got to stop. I can't stand that voice. What do you think of that voice, Phil?
Yeah, I think I've had enough.
You think you had enough of that voice? Okay, well, by the way, we got Nick in Delaware. What's going on, Nick?
Good morning, gentlemen. Glad to finally get through to you guys. Love your show.
Thanks.
I've got a lease purchase option that I'm currently in control of. I have tenants in it, and I'm looking to convert it over. I'm having trouble finding somebody that will go that route as far as lenders go. Do you guys have any suggestions on who you would use or have used in the past that you've been successful with?
So I need to clarify your question. So do you own the property now and you're lease optioning it to somebody else, or you have the lease option and you're buying it from somebody else?
No, I have the lease purchase option, and I'm looking to convert it and buy it while the rates are down.
Okay, so you have an option with the seller to buy the property, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm curious to know what it is that you're looking for. You're looking for a bank, or you're looking for a title company that would do the deal?
I'm looking for somebody who will finance. My situation is my credit score isn't really good, but the deal I have has got a decent amount of built-in equity. I'm looking at about 15% of purchase price against value. And obviously, with my credit score, I'm having issues with traditional lenders.
Okay.
So I was looking for some direction on who to go with, or who should I be looking at to actually get financing for the deal.
So if there's a lot of equity in the property, you certainly can get a private lender to lend you the money. You can, we teach how to use private lenders, and private lenders are typically somebody that knows you, somebody that likes you, somebody that will want to help you, and also at the same time will be someone who realizes that there's enough equity in the property that if you default, they get the property and they win anyway. So what are the rents on the property?
I'm renting it a little bit below market right now. Market's between $1,400 and $1,500. The tenants I currently have in it are paying $1,200. So definitely will be, once I take control of the property, purchase the property, I'll come up to market value. There still has to be a little bit of work done, some carpeting, some paint, just cosmetics to make it pristine, to be able to justify, market rents.
So Nick, what do you what can you buy the property for in your lease option?
I've got it under contract at $128,500. I haven't done a bench appraisal on it, or desktop, whatever it's called. But just by doing my research, we're looking at $155,000 to $160,000 market value.
Okay, so here's a question: what are you paying as the lease, your lease, that you're paying to the original seller?
I'm paying $1,000 and I'm receiving $1,200.
I'm sorry, you're receiving $1,200. You're paying $1,000.
That is correct.
When is your lease option up?
I got 6 months into it, and my contract is a minimum of 3 with a maximum of 5 years.
So I'm going to tell you something you may not realize. You might actually want to sit on that, because it may not be such a great deal. You may actually end up paying a little bit more if you actually finance that property than you are paying now, and you might not be making the $200 a month. At the same time, you have time to rebuild your credit and get that fixed. I don't know if you need to immediately do this, is what I'm trying to say. There may be a couple of other pieces of information I don't have, but based on what you've told me, I think you should just sit on it for a little while. Lease it out for a little bit longer, maybe even increase the rents, in the next 6 to 9 months. Get the rent up, because the price that you're paying for the property isn't that great compared to the rent. Typically, we teach something called the 1% rule, and basically it says that if I buy a property, for example, I buy a property for $100,000, I would want to get a minimum of $1,000 a month rent, which would be 1% of the purchase price. Your rent is right dead on that. In fact, it's even slightly low at $1,200 if you could buy the property at $125. But then you're telling me you have to put work into the property. How much work do you think the property needs?
Oh, just like I said, cosmetics. You're talking maybe $3,000 to $5,000 with paint and carpeting.
Okay, so you figure another $10,000, so that puts you at $135, maybe even $140 to be all in on the property. And if you're only getting $1,200, it's not that great of a deal. I would rather you be getting anywhere from $1,700 or $1,800 if you're going to spend that kind of money. So I might suggest you sit on it a little while you rebuild your credit.
Well, if I'm hearing him correctly, he's contractually obligated to stay in it for a minimum of 3 years.
No. He said he could keep the property for. He's got the lease option for 3 years. Is that what you said, Nick?
He said the minimum of 3 years and a maximum of 5.
I have a minimum of 3 years before I execute the contract and a maximum of 5. So
He can't even execute it for 3 years.
Another 2 or.
Oh, I missed that then. Okay,
No. I can actually purchase at any time.
Okay.
I put that in so that the seller can't force me to purchase it for 5 years. So I've got literally 4.5 more years before I have to purchase it.
Before you lose your lease option contract consideration, how much did you put up?
Nothing. I'm into it for nothing.
This is interesting. So it's actually a really great deal for you.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a really great deal for you. So I would sit on it. You're making $200 for free.
All right, so hold on to it. Put a little bit of money into it, get my rents up, and then
absolutely
see where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, by the way, stop by investorschooling.com or the office. Stop by the office. Come this Thursday, and we'll tell you more. All right, Nick, we really appreciate you calling, and we have to move on to some other topics. But thanks. Hopefully, we'll see you on Thursday or next Thursday. All right, what else is going on, Phil?
All right, so let's get into some fraud in real estate.
Yeah, that's a really good topic. So,
do you have any stories you could tell?
Yeah, and I want to be careful not to, so what happens a lot is people come to us, and they come to us, they're in the middle of real estate investing, and then they come to us and they join the school, and they start talking about some of the deals that they have, and I have come across some small things, but I've come across 2 major things that I actually, I get myself involved because these are our students, and I do what I can to help them. Look, of course, I'm not an attorney, but I do know a little bit about what's going on, and I can stop these things. So the first thing that's going on, a major fraud that's going on right now, is loan modification fraud. This is if you're getting these phone calls from these companies that saying, hey, you've been on forbearance, or are you in forbearance, or whatever the situation is, and we could make a loan modification for you, that's okay, but just understand that if they charge you anything up front before they have that loan modification, that is illegal. So if somebody says, send us $1,000 and we'll work on your loan modification, run for the hills. That person is absolutely frauding you. And we've had a couple of students who've come to us and said, hey, this has been happening to me. I didn't know about this, and I was able to put a stop to it. But at the same time, and I also was able to preserve their mortgage. I called a mortgage company and worked it out with them, for them, kind of like in a conversation. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I just wanted to make sure that they weren't destroying their credit, because these guys could have had their credit destroyed if they didn't pay their mortgage soon. And I was able to negotiate with the mortgage company, get them to pay that back and fix it. And at the same time, they're writing letters back and forth to try to keep it from reporting to the reporting agency. That may or may not happen. However, just if you get a phone call from anyone who's got mortgage modifications, and they ask you for money, hang up the phone. They cannot do a mortgage. They cannot take any money from you until that mortgage modification is done. Be careful with that. You also have other people who will say, hey, listen, we'll lend you money for your real estate deal, like Nick in his last deal. He may post that on Facebook, for example, and someone will say, yeah, I can lend you money. And then they say, well, yeah, just send us $1,000 up front for processing fee or whatever, the application fee. That is also illegal. Do not do that either. And a lot of these people, especially on Facebook right now, a lot of these people, they're tagging your posts when you have a property for sale. You're trying to buy a property, or you're trying to get money for a property. They'll tag your post and they'll say, hey, yeah, send us $1,000 application fee. Send us your email, send us a $1,000 application, and you never hear from them again. Don't do that either. These people, you do not pay anything until that mortgage is approved. I will tell you that some banks will ask you for the appraisal fee, but you don't pay the appraisal fee until after you either get billed directly from the appraiser or the appraiser goes out. Then pay the appraisal fee. be careful with that because these are other scams that'll happen. So, have you come across scams too, Phil?
Different kinds of scams. So, one of the ones that really stand out to me is I have a lot of vacation rentals in Florida. Some guy, he downloaded all the photographs of one of my properties, and he created like he must have changed the address, and he created almost like a duplicate account of my house for rent. And he got phone calls, I guess, sent to him and by a woman who he said, "Oh, when you get to Florida, when you get off the plane, just meet me at this bank." And she went into the bank and got cash and paid him in cash, and that should have been the clue that this was a scam. So what happened next was she somehow must have found, or she must have called like VRBO, and VRBO said that may be a fraudulent account. It's similar pictures, and then she called me. And I said, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it. That house is when she went to the actual house to go enter it, there was already somebody in the property who was the actual renter who was renting it for a short-term basis. And there was nothing much that I could do about it. Maybe, I'm sure that VRBO probably deleted the other account.
I'm sure.
And hopefully they did something more about it, but I was never filled in on any of those details. But he beat this lady for like, I don't know, $1,500 or whatever.
Right, and that's another thing too. If you are booking vacations and somebody says give me cash outside of the app, run, because that's another clue. Anybody who said anytime you're doing any business like VRBO or Uber or anything like that, you want to make sure that you go through that app because then you have recourse. Same thing with PayPal or eBay. If you list something on eBay and somebody says, well, you find something listing on eBay and somebody says, hey, yeah, pay me outside of eBay, just run. That's a fraud waiting to happen. That actually happened with me with a car, where the guy completely frauded me. Remember that car? Remember that BMW I bought? I don't know if you remember the story. It was years ago.
No.
And I bought this BMW, and sure enough, the BMW was a piece of garbage. And I had no recourse because the guy convinced me to go outside of eBay. And everything he said on the post was a lie. He didn't even have the pictures of the actual car. He had pictures of another car.
All right, well, let's keep going. We got a few more minutes.
Absolutely. What did we talked about something about 3 months rent.
Yeah, why don't we talk about these next two topics kind of go together, all right? So one of the things that I do when I have a property for rent, I always collect 3 months rent up front, okay? And I like to say I want to collect 3 months from average tenants. And what I mean by that is if you've rented to people who really got their act together, they make great money, they got great credit scores and everything like that, then those people are probably going to be more than capable of buying their own house in the future. So they're not really going to rent your property for maybe more than a year. And if you're okay with that and you want to take a year's rent, that's fine. But what I'm looking for is people who will live in my property for decades. All right? I like those kind of people much better. If you take a chance on somebody who has a few issues with his credit, has a few issues with his income, but maybe there's going to be, like I rented to a guy once who rented a property from me, and he had 2 adult daughters that lived with him. And I felt pretty comfortable because all 3 of them had jobs. Their credit scores weren't greatest. Their income stream wasn't the greatest, but they lived in my property for almost like 15 years, right? They were like managers of my property, essentially. It was a triplex, but they had lived on multiple floors over the years. They knew everything about the building. They took care of the place, and they paid me every month. And sometimes they were late, but I was okay with that because if you know you're renting to people with some issues, you got to be a little bit flexible. You can't be a hammer and say, I'm throwing you out if you don't pay me in 5 days and things like that. You have to kind of let it go a little bit. But if you're cool with that, you could have somebody live in your property for over a decade. And that is a huge help for a landlord. One of the reasons I don't want to have to turn over my rental units is because each time that happens, you've got to go in there and usually do work. So now here goes another $5,000 out the door. and another month and a half while I'm doing the $5,000 in repairs, which is usually going to be a kitchen or a bathroom, and those things tend to be expensive. I want to keep the properties rented for as long as I can. So what I'm saying is you don't want perfect tenants. You want people that are kind of middle of the road. Those people, they might live in your property for a really long time,
Exactly.
and that's going to help you tremendously. The less properties. A funny thing used to happen to me. I had all these rentals in Philadelphia, okay, at one point. I got rid of them all because I got fed up with the city of Philadelphia. But that's just me. I don't have anything against investing in Philly, and who knows, I might even do more of it in the future. But one time, this happened repeatedly to me. Summertime always seemed to be the time when people were moving out of my properties. Don't ask me why. I'm not sure. And I remember having 3 different properties I'm trying to renovate all at the same time. And it was not the funnest summer of my life. I wanted to be down the shore having a good time. I wanted to be out partying. But instead, I had vacant rentals that had to be addressed. And back in the day, I didn't have the money to hire contractors. I had to do it myself. And I did a lot of my work myself. And I spent like a whole summer, more than one summer, working on my rental properties, okay? If I had just learned what I learned later on, which is go for average tenants, people that are less than perfect, those people might be much more happier just staying in my property and never moving out.
Yeah, so I actually find that the people I rent to, if their credit score is somewhere between maybe 600 and 680, those are great.
I like that range.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because you're thinking that, I want to only rent to people who have 740, 750 credit scores. That's actually a mistake because those people a year later will buy a house and move out.
They'll be gone, and they're always gone within a year.
Right, exactly.
They're in some kind of transition. They got a couple things they want to straighten out, and boom, and then they just go buy a house, and you're gone, and you lose them.
Right, and the funny part is you really can't discriminate people against people who have a 750 credit score. You're going to take them anyway, but I'd rather they not have that credit score. It's just funny because I'll have them become and I ask them what their credit score is, and they'll say 750. I'm like, oh man.
You can't say, hey, you people are overqualified.
Yeah, you can't say you people are overqualified, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you're going to rent to them anyway. And I've always found that the people with the over 700 credit scores, they stay about a year, maybe 2 years max. Then the people with the average credit score, and you said average tenant, the person who goes to work every day to pay your mortgage is the kind of person that I want. I don't want the person to go to work every day and have aspirations of buying their own house. I'd rather them stay in my house forever. Because, again, it's a lot cheaper. You know, you're exactly right. $5,000 to renovate a property every time they move out. You got to paint it. You got to fix whatever they broke. You got to work on. You've got to make it. And there's also sometimes you got properties that they've rented for 8-9 years, and now you've got to actually do the kitchens, and it becomes expensive.
Yeah. I'll just share with you a real quick story. When I bought my very first property, I had a realtor before I had my license. A realtor took me to see this house.
Did the realtor sound like this?
And he says to the tenant, he goes, "How long have you lived here?" She says, 26 years. He goes, "You could have bought this property like twice,
Sure.
in 26 years."
Exactly.
Anyway. Who's coming up next?
So, interestingly enough, real quick, the millennials right now, because of their college loans, they can't buy a place. So you actually, when you're looking at their credit score, if they have bad credit because of their college loans, but everything else is paid on time, those are perfect tenants because they'll never be able to buy a place because they've been ripped off by the promises of Biden, by the way, saying that their student loans are going to be forgiven, and it never will be.
When I was in Florida last week, I was hanging out in this outside bar, had a lot of fun. All the football games were on at the time. I was watching the Eagles game, and I'm sitting with some other Eagles fans, and I talked to this young woman, and that was exactly her problem. She had this huge college loan that she couldn't pay off, and she was in big trouble with it. And, it's a shame. The government scamming their own citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tax on so-called smart people, but I don't even think they're all that smart.
Well,
All right.
Obviously they're not.
Yeah, and I think I talk about predatory loans.
I invited her to investor schooling, by the way.
There you go. Good. A 17 or 18-year-old who don't know anything about money whatsoever now signs a piece of paper for a loan that they don't understand, and that the second they graduate, they owe they owe 25% more than they borrowed, and then they got to pay it off. But we actually do a presentation on student loans and how people should do student loans. By the way, that's in my book, too, my new book, the Money Hacks book. So if you guys didn't know, I have a new book coming out. It's called Money Hacks, and it's subtitled because everything you think you know about money is wrong. So if you guys get a chance, you can go to barnesandnoble.com. You can take a look at that. You can pre-order it. So that's called Money Hacks by Larry Steinhaus. All right. Who's coming up?
Stock option sorting. Stock option sorting.
All right. So Austria is locked down again. So
Austria?
Austria is locked down, yes.
You mean Australia?
No, Austria.
Austria.
Austria. Yeah, make Austria Germany again. You know, that's the MAGA hats that people are wearing in Austria now. Make Austria Germany again. If you don't get that reference, that's a Nazi reference. But anyway, getting back to it, getting back to what's going on over there, that because that happened, and you know the so-called coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, is causing them to lock down again. A lot of the travel stocks went down this week, but those are all incredible buying opportunities. AAL, CCL, RCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, DAL, all of the airline stocks, all of the cruise stocks, they're tremendous buying opportunities. The AL was at 19 again, and it was just at 23 the other day. Same thing with CCL. It was right around 20 the other day. I think on Friday it was right around 20. And again, tremendous buying opportunity. That'll go up to 25, 26, 27. The stock options on that are so cheap that you can go out to May and June, and it's got to be a no-brainer unless something crazy happens. It's a no-brainer. I like it a lot. Those are great plays. Meta, I can't get on top of this thing. Every time it goes down, it doesn't go down low enough for me, and then it shoots up. Like the other day, it shot up 15 points. I have had some covered calls on Meta, and I had the stock taken away from me this weekend, which is fine with me. I don't care. I made some money on it that way. So this stock was taken away from me on my covered calls, and Meta. Also, like Halliburton is a good covered call play as well. I like Halliburton a lot. And so these are some cool plays. I would look at some of the other industries. We got about 45 seconds. So what do you want to do? You want to take us out?
Yeah, I guess we can do that.
All right.
So thanks to our producer, Jim Kelly, for helping us out today and jumping into our radio show whenever he feels like it. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor on our show, you can email us at info@investorschooling.com, info@investorschooling.com. If you want to talk to realtors, if you want to talk to real estate investors, this is the place to find them. So you having an ad on this show could behoove your business greatly. What time are we going out?
You got 8 seconds.
8 seconds. I think I'll just say we will see you Thursday night at 7 p.m. at investorschooling.com.
This program is a paid commercial and
All right, clear.
represents the views of WPHT or its
You got it, Larry.
WPHT.
Hey, Larry.
Yo.
Yeah, you